Well, hello everyone. My name is Elodie Benoit Bélanger. I work in the pharmaceutical industry as a senior analyst for my 9 to 5 and otherwise enjoy giving my time back to CSPC. We are honored to host a truly distinguished guest, Dr. Hewitt, President of the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada, or SSHRC for short. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Hewitt. I look forward to our conversation.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And so, throughout your career, you have often spoken about the need for better coordination among Canada's research councils. With the recent capstone restructuring and new federal investments outlined in Budget 2025, how do you envision a truly resilient STI ecosystem, one that safeguards disciplinary diversity, especially in the social sciences and humanities, while still driving integrated policy and innovation?
Well, I think it's a great question. And as you've said, we've worked for many years as agencies to work together to harmonize processes. And I think in the last 2 or 3 years, we made some tremendous progress. I mean, as you know, we already offer a whole suite of tri-agency programs in addition to the programming that is offered through the individual agencies. So the Canada Research Chairs, the Canada First Research Excellence Fund, the Excellence Chairs, and now through Budget 2025, the new chairs to attract international talent. So we have a long history of working together, coordinating, harmonizing. We have a new suite of awards for graduate students, for postdocs. So I'm not sure everybody realizes how much work goes on in the background across the three councils. In terms of policymaking, thinking more about how we might engage in mission-driven research, I mean, we have many of the tools that we need, particularly, for example, through the Canada Research Coordinating Committee. One of the things that we should be looking at through that committee is how we develop or operationalize our ability to work together by securing the authorities that we would need to allocate funds or to develop programming that would be more mission driven or more objective focused or grand challenge focused. And that's something we're doing right now. We should also be thinking about bringing in other players to the CRCC in terms of providing input from institutions, from researchers, from other stakeholders. I think that would be an absolutely critical move. So we need to expand input into CRC decision making, and we need to have the tools and the authorities to develop programming that meets the objectives and meets the expectations of governments of the day. And I think we can certainly do that. As we do, it's super important, and I've said this many times, we have to keep social sciences and humanities, top of mind. We may be the smallest agency. I say in some respects, we are the mightiest insofar as we actually deliver a lot of the tri-agency programming I was just talking about. But it's getting that SSH focus into mission-driven research and into multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary research, which sometimes is lacking, and that's really the trick. And we need to keep mindful of how important it is to keep our eyes on the policy, ethics, societal response, reaction focus as we develop new technologies and as research starts to become more applied. Because at the end of the day, it's all about people. It's all about how research will be used. It's all about how it will be applied for the purpose of improving human lives. And social sciences and humanities, of course, play a critical role in that regard.
That's a very nice answer. So making use of the already existing programs that have been developed over the years, securing key partners, and then lastly, making sure we can keep in mind to integrate the social sciences and humanities in the diverse research landscape. That's a very nice prospect.
And I think however the system evolves, that's going to involve maintaining a strong SSHRC and a strong research ecosystem, because that's where we're able to apply the skills, the talent that we fund to the process of applying new technologies and research as it's developed for the benefit of society, because as I said before, that's what it's all about. Otherwise, why are we doing it?
Indeed. And you have mentioned that the shirk is a big player considering its output. And if I may transition in French, le CRSH participe activement à des initiatives de métasciences comme le Research on Research Institute, le RORI pour les intimes, qui vise à mieux comprendre comment la recherche est financée, elle est évaluée et mobilisée. Selon vous, comment ces travaux peuvent-ils t'aider à renforcer la qualité, l'équité et la pertinence de l'écosystème de recherche canadien, en particulier dans les sciences humaines et sociales?
OK, une bonne question aussi. Il y a beaucoup d'innovations dans le domaine du financement de la recherche en Europe, en Amérique latine, l'Asie. C'est tellement important d'apprendre comment fonctionnent ces initiatives dans ce pays pour améliorer le système de recherche en fait.
Mm.
Par exemple, l'introduction de nouvelles méthodologies comme les loteries, par exemple, ou nouvelles méthodologies pour la revue des pairs et tout ça. Il y a beaucoup à prendre sur tout ça. Et c'est important pour nous d'être là pour participer avec les autres agents dans ces initiatives, comme par exemple le ROI. Et on participe aussi à d'autres initiatives importantes, comme par exemple la MetaScience, la conférence de MetaScience, et aussi la MetaScience Alliance. C'est tellement important, les moyens de faciliter la discussion qui va laisser les agences développer des méthodologies importantes qui va améliorer le système en fin de compte pour tous les chercheurs dans le système.
Mhm. Et vous avez mentionné des initiatives importantes et qui ont une portée internationale. Ce n'est d'ailleurs pas les seules. Maintenant, pas seulement le CRSH, mais le Canada a joué un rôle clé dans des initiatives internationales telles que l'Open Research Area et la plateforme transatlantique. Alors que la diplomatie scientifique mondiale continue d'évoluer face aux dynamiques géopolitiques changeantes, quelles sont selon vous les principales occasions et les principaux risques pour les sciences sociales et humaines canadiennes de jouer un rôle de premier plan sur les enjeux comme l'IA éthique, la démocratie et l'équité?
Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Mais franchement, je ne vois pas beaucoup de risques. En fait, c'est des occasions qui sont importantes et pour nous, c'est important d'augmenter le nombre et la qualité de nos engagements internationaux. Vous avez mentionné, par exemple, la plateforme transatlantique, le ORA et tout ça, mais on travaille aussi directement avec beaucoup d'agences en France, par exemple, en RENER, en Angleterre, ISRC, en Sud-Afrique, le Brésil, et aussi on parle beaucoup aux agences à l'Asie. Il y a d'autres pistes aussi pour développer les liens, pour pratiquer la diplomatie en sciences, par exemple, Horizon Europe. Ça va laisser le Canada participer dans d'autres initiatives avec d'autres pays dans un programme de recherche plus ample qui inclut pas juste l'Europe, les pays d'Europe, mais aussi les autres pays qui sont membres associés comme le Canada. C'est un bon futur pour nous, je pense, dans ce domaine.
Mhm. Donc, faut-il un focus sur des initiatives internationales diverses, finalement.
Oui, oui, exactement. Et c'est pas juste pour nous, pour le pays, c'est pour les chercheurs, les chercheuses ici au Canada, pour promouvoir la possibilité de collaborer avec d'autres excellents chercheurs dans le monde. C'est l'objectif de tout ça, en fin de compte.
Mm, I like that. So there's the focus isn't on the risk, but on the opportunities. That's a key.
Toujours, toujours, always.
Speaking of opportunities, Looking back on your years of leadership at Shirk, I add over a decade of leadership, and your dedication to fostering emerging scholars, what guidance would you offer to the next generation of Canadian research leaders? How can they champion both excellence and inclusion while keeping the social sciences and humanities at the heart of Canada's innovation story?
Well, I think the first thing I would say about that is that as an agency, SHIRK already funds at least half, if not more, of all the research trainees in terms of graduate students in Canada. Last year, or sorry, over the last few years from 2015 to 2024, we've funded over 26,000 trainees through scholarships and fellowships at a cost or at an investment of over $1.1 billion. And that doesn't include graduate students or postdocs who are working with researchers they would in any other discipline. So I would say that we are alive and well positioned to continue support that work thanks to increases in budget 2024. So I think it's super important that we keep doing that and we keep emphasizing the importance of work in these disciplines because it's absolutely critical for the reasons that we were talking about before. I mean, you can develop technologies, you can develop different methodologies, you can develop different practices. But at the end of the day, no matter how technologically advanced they might be, or how much work goes into them in terms of the science, it's always about how they are applied in society and how society will react to those changes and how quickly they will adapt or adopt and adapt to those changes for their own benefit. So the work that we're doing, the development of an enlightened citizenry, developing awareness in an era of rapid technological change. Those things are all absolutely critical today more than they ever are for more than they ever have been. For students, I would say it's super important, despite the current situation within academia, to keep their horizons broad, to think broadly about how they may be able to make a contribution. You know, not everybody has to work in the university. There are lots of other ways to contribute to the private sector, for example, or through government and associations. And I think people need to keep a very broad look at what's available and how they can contribute, because really that's what it's all about, I think, for us as academics, whether we are established or whether we are in training, in terms of how we will shape our future careers.
For sure. And that's a very interesting point. And it was more openly discussed at the CSPC 2025, the importance with these rapid technological changes, how to be aware and conscious of the adoption and integration of these technologies within these societies. And I think the next generation of Canadian research leaders might have an advantage for whatever is instinctive for them to adopt these technologies. They may be able to teach to other generations as well. So very interesting point.
Well, two things, Elodie. I mean, you make excellent points. I mean, one is that, you know, science can show us how to do things. It can show us even to how to actually apply technological advance, but it doesn't tell us whether we should or not at the end of the day. And that's such a critical question, or how people may react. So we have a critical role. The other piece is, and I wrote an article about this, more than one, is that in the innovation process, and we forget this, 3/5 involve human interaction. 2/5 involve the development of science and the application of science. The other involves selling ideas, getting the public to accept it, getting companies to build and sell it, getting companies to convince people they need to have it. Those are not technological issues. Those are human issues. And we have to remember, you know, that just inventing the widget or the new process, it's not enough. You know, we have to apply it. We have to commercialize it. Commercialization itself is a fundamentally social enterprise. It's a fundamentally social activity. And the humanities play a critical role in this, not only in the design of products and in the design of their application, but also in the questions around the appropriateness of introduction of new technologies, which we have to deal with in helping people to understand why they're necessary, how they can adapt, how they can participate in the introduction of technologies, and just being aware of history, being aware of past failure, being aware of how things were done even centuries before and the great failures or successes that occurred there and how they might be applied today. And the last thing I would say is just in also in helping us to better appreciate our own humanness and our own role in the bigger picture. So I think people intuitively understand this, but I don't think it always gets articulated, in quite the way that it needs to.
Mm. So the human and human interactions are at the center of innovation.
But I mean, otherwise, what's the point? I
Yep,
mean, is innovation to get your company, your name, or your product on a list of top sellers, or is it about serving humanity and serving humanity in the right way? And I'm definitely on the side of the latter.
for sure. And so that is a nice segue into the last question, which as a recurring interviewee, you are very
Yes.
well aware of. So what would be your opinion on the value of the Canadian Science Policy Centre and its position in the community as a connection hub, as a knowledge mobilizer, a talent incubator in the science and innovation policy landscape?
Um, well, I mean, I've always appreciated the CSPC and the events that it's organized. I've participated in many, not just the annual meetings. I mean, it's just such a tremendous venue to share ideas, to network, to learn about new things, to really understand the Canadian context, and really to deliver messages. And for those of us who are working in the policy space and the agencies that are delivering to help promote research and innovation. So I think it fills a absolutely critical role. One thing I would note is that increasingly it's attracting international participants. And quite often I'm very busy around this time of year, not only because of CSPC events, but because people are visiting from Europe, they're visiting from South Africa, they're visiting from Asia, they're visiting from Latin America. And while they're here, of course, we're taking the opportunity to work with them and have conversations also. So it's a catalyst, not just in the immediate work that it does through the conferences and through the webinars and other events that are organized, but in attracting the attention of participants globally who then are looking or seeking the opportunity to meet with us while they happen to be here. So I congratulate CSPC once again for a great conference this year, absolutely essential on the Canadian research and innovation horizon, and something I think that has been of high value to Canadians who work in this space.
Thank you very much.